running a handgun on a belt rig can really push your setup to the next level. Having easy access to your sidearm, lightning quick magazine changes, and also that satisfying feeling of clicking in the Kobra belt buckle just feels good. But it's also worth noting for the new players that a sidearm in Airsoft often gets very little use on the field, and though it's possible to run just a pistol as a primary, you'll be at a major disadvantage to rifles, and we always recommend starting with an AEG if you're a newer player. Today we're putting together a sample pistol belt loadout. The shopping list isn't aimed at being budget, but it's tried and true, offering all the advantages you'd want out of a belt setup. Even if you don't plan to run a pistol, it's worth considering running your rifle mag pouches on a belt as an alternative or an addition to a chest rig. Starting off with the belt itself, this is the TMC 1.75-inch duty belt. It's much stiffer than a regular belt, which is a requirement for supporting a pistol and magazines. The all-metal Kobra belt buckle clicks in smooth and has a little bit of play to allow for movement and releases effortlessly. The Molle webbing might look a little smaller than usual, but the spacing is standard spec, so it'll work with all your standard Molle pouches. Importantly, it has a Velcro inner belt system. You thread the inner belt through your belt buckles and then attach the main belt on top. This gives you the most amount of stability, especially side to side, while not requiring you to remove all the accessories every time you put the belt on. Next up is a hard shell Kydex holster. We went with this Airsoft Collective holster, which offers excellent retention, solid build quality, and as an added bonus, they're made right here in Canada. We always recommend a hard shell holster, which has a faster draw and insert than a soft shell holster will ever offer, but the downside is it must be matched to your pistol. It offers adjustable retention through 3 adjustment screws, which is definitely a major plus to fine-tuning that retention. You can flip the mounting brackets upside down if you want to run the pistol a little bit lower, and even has additional mounting holes for other standards like Safariland and Blackhawk mounts. Installation is pretty straightforward, wrapping around the entire belt, then you can adjust the sizing to lock onto the rig. Very critical to a tight and consistent draw. Pistol mag pouches are next. While Kydex pouches are excellent, we opted for the Bigfoot KYWI style pouches to show you another style to consider. It's basically a fabric shell over a velcroed Kydex insert. We like that you can adjust where the insert sits to adjust to different size magazines, and you can also heat up the Kydex if you want more or less retention. Attachment is through a polymer clip which detaches from the rest of the pouch. Once you've decided where the pouch will go, the clip actually threads on the outside of that first loop and has a little lock that holds that first loop in place. Then it weaves through like standard Molle, locking securely in place at the bottom. Sometimes it might be easier to thread in the clip onto the belt first. Find what works for you, but make sure it's threaded in and attached securely. Not necessary for a pistol loadout by any means, but we'd always recommend adding a primary rifle mag pouch as well. This Kydex one is from Airsoft Collective. It's usually always faster to reload from a belt over a chest rig, and might as well use that extra free space on that belt. We like that this one, just like the pistol holster, has multiple retention adjustment screws to dial in your retention. This one attaches through malice clips, which simply thread through the Molle loops. They fold over and then lock into place. Simple and effective. The last attachment to the belt is a dump pouch. Now it's worth saying it's almost always faster to reinsert empty mags back into a mag pouch, but dump pouches can be useful for all kinds of little things that you want to quickly dump inside, like a phone or a kill rag. This one offers elastic retention to prevent things falling out. It even has an extra pocket for smaller objects like a barrel cover or a fog tech wipe. Standard Molle attachment on this one, simply weave the strap through those Molle loops. Instead of a button clasp at the end, this one has kind of a fabric loop lock, so make sure that's properly locked in. Of course, we can't exactly have a pistol loadout without a pistol, and we opted for the VFC Sig M17. If you haven't heard, the real M17 is the new standard issue US Army pistol, which is exciting for a lot of folks for sure, but we really like the ergonomics which showcase SIG's excellent design philosophy for a modern service pistol. Fully ambidextrous and identical slide release and safety on both sides of the gun. It's high time every pistol brand moved in this direction. The mag release sadly is not ambidextrous but can be flipped to the other side. We really like the grip design, which sits in the hands very naturally, and the slide has good serrations both front and rear for however you choose to rack the slide. A nice touch is the loaded chamber indicator, which isn't exactly functional, but does move up when the slide is in battery. Cool. It's got all the SIG trades a collector would want, and we like that the added disclaimer text is located underneath the trigger guard and doesn't detract from the look of the gun. It works with both green gas and CO2 magazines, which is a nice feature, and comes with an extended base plate, which not only increases the capacity, but makes for easier reloads as well. Taking a look at the trigger, it has a bit of take up before the wall, but it's nice and smooth, and the break itself is light and predictable. We're not the biggest fans of the reset though, because there really isn't one, at least not that we could hear or feel. At least it's relatively short, and in our testing was perfectly fine under normal use. Overall, a very usable duty trigger, but we'd like to see that reset improved. Last up, if you notice that the holster is a light bearing one, it's because we couldn't leave the pistol rail alone and decided to throw on a pistol light. Here we got an X300 style weapon light. Excellent metal build, it takes two CR123 batteries with a 500 lumen output. Features momentary and constant on modes with an ambidextrous switch at the back. Simply unscrew one side of the mount. There are 3 screws to each side. Mount it on the weapon and screw in the mount. Now, a pistol light certainly isn't necessary, but in general the light allows the holster to fit a little bit tighter, and the option to light up a dark corridor is always welcome. But perhaps most importantly, let's be honest, pistol lights just make the gun look a little bit more complete, at least in our eyes. Finally, to complete the loadout, we went with 2 extra magazines. Pretty self-explanatory. We feel 3 magazines is always a good number, but the reality is, if it's just a secondary, 1 extra mag is often more than enough. The bonus with having more mags though than you need is less downtime reloading mags between rounds. And that's all there is to it, a sample pistol belt loadout. Remember to test fit and practice with the setup. Dan here doesn't have the pants with belt loops on, but is still able to mount and test out the setup. One big tip with Velcro inner belts is mount the belt buckle on first and then Velcro the rest of the belt going counterclockwise around the body. This is the easiest way to align the belt. Again, remember to spend some quality time practicing draws and reloads, and if you're anything like me, you'll quickly fall in love with the speed and easy access provided by a belt setup. Let us know in the comments how you feel about belt rigs, or maybe what your dream pistol loadout would be. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.